Okay, today we're going to take a look at dividing a fraction by another fraction. You can always resort to keep, change, just like you did when you were dividing a fraction by a whole number or a whole number by a fraction. And that will, of course, get you to the correct answer. But in terms of models, it gets a little bit tricky. So I'm going to give you an example of one right here. I have 3/4 divided by 1/5. In other words, I want to know how many groups of 1/5 I can get out of 3/4. Now, you notice the denominator is different, so that can be a bit difficult when you're trying to draw a model. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the model first. I'm going to solve this using keep, change, because I feel like most of you are comfortable with that. So I have 3/4 divided by 1/5. Well, the model is going to be tricky unless I find a common denominator with the 4 and 5. So what I'm going to do is right down here, I'm going to write 3/4 equals, and then I'm going to write 1/5 equals. I have to find a common denominator when I'm using my model, when I draw my model, because I need the same amount of pieces. Okay? When finding a common denominator, the easiest way to do it is, in this case, is to multiply 4 times 5, which will give you 20. Okay? When I look at equations like this, 3/4 is equal to some numerator over 20. I like to think of it as a balance scale. What I mean by that is, let me just get some paper. Okay. You want one side to balance out the other. So whatever you do to the bottom, whatever you do to get from 4 to 20, you must also do the same thing on the top of the fraction. So 4 times 5 is 20. That means that 3 times 5 is 15. You see, I multiplied by 5 here to get to here, and I do the same thing there. So we can say that 15/20 is equivalent to 3/4. I'm going to go over this fraction and do just the same thing. So however I get from 5 to 20, I have to do the same thing with the numerators. So 5, I know that 5 times 4 is 20, and you feel free to use a multiplication chart or a calculator if you need to. 5 times 4 is 20. Whatever I do here, I have to do here. 1 times 4, of course, is 4. Now what you can do to make this easier is get rid of those first fractions from the problem that you were dealing with. All right? And believe it or not, this problem is actually the same exact thing as this. You're just dealing with the same denominator. All right? So now I know I need 20 pieces. So when I draw my model, I'm just going to make sure I have 20. I believe that's 20. Okay. And I have 15 of those. So I'm shading in 15 of those. Okay. And when I do that, this represents my 15/20 or my 3/4. Remember, it's the same thing. Okay? So this represents 15/20. Now all I have to do is figure out how many group 4 I can get out of that. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to say, okay, well, here's one group of 4. There's another group of 4. And I see another group right here. Then I have 3 left. But you have to remember, if we're counting groups of 4, okay, and I have 3 left, it's 3 out of 4. See, this is 3 pieces out of that 4th piece, 3/4. So the answer is 3 wholes and 3/4.